So my name's Mike Conrad. The co-principal investigator is Bob Stoddard. As Linda said, this is Eliciting Unstated Requirements at Scale, EURS, and we pronounce it EURS, short for I don't know. But anyway, we know that unstated, unidentified requirements are a big problem. They create headaches for developers. They create headaches for end users. So what we've done is we've taken an existing method for eliciting or identifying unstated requirements, which is called KJ, and we've extended it to work in a distributive fashion, calling the result KJ plus. So that's going to be the topic of this presentation. So unstated needs are elusive, as you can see from these two quotes from two innovators, from Steve Jobs. It's really hard to design products by focus groups. A lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And Henry Ford said something along these lines. Unfortunately, he was not recorded. But if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So that's the kind of problem that we're trying to wrestle with in requirements engineering, in requirements development, as a front end to the architecture-centric engineering practices that Linda mentioned. Why are they important? Well, they're important because they're the basis for identifying the quality attributes. So we saw how rich those can be from Bill earlier. And as I mentioned, if they don't get discovered, end users can get so frustrated they will defect from your product. They will go to a competing product, or some mission system will simply not be used as it was intended. So what is the status today with existing requirements elicitation methods? Well, they tend to be specification driven. What we'd like is something that gets at what end users don't know how to state because they're unable to reflect on their experiences adequately. We want to get more at the motivation for the requirements. And we want to do that, and that's why we picked on KJ as a method I'll tell you a little bit more about on the next slide. But the other issue we wanted to tackle is we have this broad vision for scale, but a lot of existing methods that do work at not just for requirements, but also architectural-centric methods, tend to be workshop-style meetings where there is a synchrony, a constraint on both time and space of the way in which the method operates. And we want to move more towards incremental and continuous operation of those methods. So that's kind of the challenge for us for FY14. But so let's talk a little bit about KJ. KJ starts not from a clean slate, but with some kind of understanding of the requirements that for the product or service to be developed. Probing questions are constructed based on areas where the developers or requirements analyst believes that there can be some value proposition to the end user. But the probing questions are intended to elicit extreme experiences. So these can be good or bad, frustrating experiences. And it's the context of those that the KJ method would have you probe. So step 2, you hold those interviews focusing on context. Step 3, you collect careful interview notes characterizing the circumstances of the extreme experience in terms of what went on, the action, the motivation, the circumstances. And those characterizations then can be mined, step 4, looking for cross-cutting concerns that key off some particular aspect of context. That's really critical to this method, because it's from that in step 5 that we derive unstated needs, and we can brainstorm innovative solutions or requirements that are then in step 6 differentiated into must-be, satisfiers, and delighters. The first 2 are really good to have and to identify. Delighters tend to be more innovative unknowns and are useful, are what we're really trying to get at with KJ. So what we wanted to do in this project is to figure out how to re-engineer this method to scale. And this is part of a broader, longer-term vision, research roadmap, you might say, which we want to get to scale, but we want to do it in pieces. So in FY14, our focus was on trying to maximize asynchrony with minimal technology. So we're not talking about huge numbers of end users or stakeholders yet, but we are talking about not having them face-to-face and being able to do the steps of the KJ method I just spoke of in a virtual way and not in a time-rigid, scheduled fashion. So that was our focus, and this was our task structure. So in essence, we redesigned the KJ method for asynchronous use with a minimum of technology to augment the method. And we selected a pilot. We were looking at doing an A/B comparison. So the project would use an existing requirement solicitation method and baseline the requirements it obtained, and then KJ Plus is applied. So we've done this pilot, and we're analyzing the results right now. So what are the results? Well, or what have been our accomplishments in FY14? Well, we have constructed this method. We've done the pilot. I can tell you that we did find some interesting results. We're still analyzing those, and we hope to publish them. And our pilot collaborator was sufficiently enamored with the journey that they've have continued their engagement with us to develop transition aids, like process scripts and presentation templates and so forth, and they're adopting the method. And so those have been our results. Our next steps. So we have this big research roadmap, and we plan to push on scale. For FY14, we focused narrowly on asynchrony and virtual aspects, but we would really like to work with you on tackling some of these challenges that we see in the further scale-up of the method. So this is our ambition. We believe that scale, as Bill was speaking to it, is critical in software engineering. It's part of where we're moving to, where the socialization of software and its embedding in various both technical and social ecosystems is continuing apace. And so that's our attempt to contribute to that larger narrative. So I thank you for your time.